Hello, and welcome to Crafts to Go for 20-somethings presented by East Baton Rouge Parish Public Library System. I'm your friendly resident librarian, and I'll be showing you how to create a fall tree using paper quilling today. Now, this is an interesting technique and may require some dexterity, so just keep working on it. Alright, so let's get started. First, you'll see that you have a pre-painted piece of cardboard. You will need glue. I use clear glue, but regular Elmer's white glue will work just as fine. I have a chopstick and a small piece of wooden skewer, as well as strips of paper in red, orange, yellow, green, and brown. For those of you that don't know, quilling is a technique of rolling up pieces of paper and creating ornate designs out of those rolled up pieces of paper and then combining them with others to make beautiful works of art, much like our tree. So we'll start by creating our trunk. We'll take our brown pieces of strips of paper and we'll begin wrapping them around our small piece of wooden skewer. You want to make sure that it's even on both sides so that when you glue your pieces of paper down, that it'll all be the same size. If you want to do this at home, you can cut your paper to about a 1/2 inch wide strip. Okay. So, once we've wound our paper up, we know that it's tight, we're going to release it a little bit. Kind of make it a little less tight in the center. And when we've got a good looking little spiral right here, we're going to take the end, and this is where a glue stick would come in handy, but you can also use any other kind of glue. Take a small piece of glue, put it on the very end, and then tape or glue that end down. So now you have a wonderful little spiral. And if you want to create works of art with just spirals, you can. However, I'm going to show you different kind of quilling shapes today, including a teardrop shape, in which you will squeeze one end and you'll get this wonderful little design in your paper. Okay. So that's a basic teardrop. Okay, for our next shape, we're going to make a marquee. So we're going to take our paper and roll it around our stick once again. Make sure you're keeping it as neat and straight as possible. So we have our tight roll, and we're going to let it come out a little bit and loosen it up so we have nice big curls in there. We're going to put a little bit of glue on our end again. And pull it back so it gives us a little bit of extra room in here. So we'll loosen up our circles a little more. And the marquee starts a lot like the teardrop. You're going to pinch one end, but instead of leaving the second end curved, you're going to pinch the second end too. So it kind of looks like an eye. And that is how you do a marquee. For our next shape, we're going to roll up our paper, and this time we're going to try basic triangle. And you can create many different shapes if you want to play around with the paper. You can do semicircles, you can do crescent moons, squares, anything. It depends on the final picture that you're trying to make. For ours here today, we're doing a fall paper tree. So most of what we're going to be doing is teardrops and marquee rolls. Only because they fit better, they look more like leaves. However, your trunk can be any kinds of shapes that you want. And that's why I'm using this, to show you the different types of techniques you can use to get the shapes that you want. If you want to make it really loose, you can do that. It's a little too loose for what we're trying to do today, though. So we're going to curl it back in. Glue this down. And if your circle comes out too wide, what you can do is push the circle middle up and just tighten it. And spin it and spin it and tighten it. Don't tighten it too much or your glue will come undone. So you tighten it, tighten it, tighten it, and then let it go. And you've got a tighter circle. Okay, so for our triangle, we're going to flatten the bottom and then come up to two sides like this. Now, if you want to get a different kind of shape inside, once you have pressed your paper into the shape that you want, you can, again, push the center out, grab that little interior piece, and twist a little bit more. The next shape I'm going to show you is a square. As you see, I've already rolled up my paper and glued the end down. So, much like a marquee, you're going to squeeze in the center and press into a flat line. And then, the opposite way, push it down and flat. So when you open it up, you have this wonderful design in the center. And that's how you make a square. You can also tighten or loosen your center to get the squares in the center to show at different angles. A good tip to keep in mind is that as you're shaping your pieces for your art, set them down build up your trunk as you're going so you know which shapes you need in order to make it look the way you want it to look. You can see in this finished version that it's mostly circles, teardrops, and marquees. And of course, the beautiful leaves are all done in marquees. So at this point, you want to keep making your quilled shapes and keep building up your picture. Now, as you can see, I've built up the trunk to my tree. I've placed all the quills where I want them to go to make it as tree-like as possible. Now, I'm going to gently slide them off in roughly the same shape if you can get it. And prepare to start gluing down your quills one line at a time. Make sure that you're pressing them down nice and flat. After you've gotten your trunk down, give it a little bit of a press. Now we'll set that aside to dry, and we'll start working with our colored leaves. Now, as I mentioned before, these are going to mostly be in Marquee, but if you want to get fancy and you want to make them a little different, this is your project, so go ahead and do it. Now, since this is a fall tree, I'm going to do relatively few green leaves. I'm mostly going to do them in oranges, yellows, and reds, since those are the fall colors. But a little bit of green, I noticed, gives it a nice little pop. Now, if you want to add a couple of falling leaves, as I did in the original, you can go ahead and choose the positioning of your fallen leaves. And go ahead and paste them down. After that, give everything a nice little push down to set in the glue and leave it to dry. Once your glue is dry, you will have your quilled fall tree. And this tree will be great for any kind of decor. You can hang it on a wall, put it on your desk, or anything like that. And that concludes our craft for today. Thank you for joining us for the East Baton Rouge Parish Public Library System 20-somethings virtual crafts. Get crafting. Have a good one.